Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with our marketing partners, we're here to help our PM Marketing Network Lead customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingles.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingles here. You're listening to us live on Building Fortunes Radio. If I sound a little different, I'm calling it in from a different phone, only because we get kind of busy and distracted a little bit, and I know that sometimes happens with you as well. So if you get a chance you want to listen in live, make sure you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/live, buildingfortunesradio.com/live. And if you want to dial in, dial to 347-237-4097. That's 347-237-4097. And if you miss your favorite radio show, you can always go to, especially with this one, buildingfortunesradio.com/Ray Gebauer. If you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Ray Gebauer, you'll be able to hear the different radio shows that we've done. I met Ray Gebauer, it's been forever ago. And he made a real big impression on me. He was a top money earner with a network marketing company, still is. Real solid guy. I had heard him on some training that he had been doing on some conference calls, and I learned that he was an author and super smart when it comes to health and nutrition. But he's got a great heart, and his moral compass is certainly heading in the right direction. So when we started Building Fortunes Radio, I didn't know what he was doing, and eventually he popped up on my social media screen one way or another, and I called him right away, and I said, I know there's only one Ray Gebauer. Can you host a radio show with us, because I know how much you can help other people. So when you're talking about, integrity and honesty and authenticity and all of those other buzzwords that usually mean some things, you can work with Ray Gebauer because he is really, truly a hard-working, good, honest guy, and I wanted to share with him this platform. So Ray Gebauer, thanks for being here on Building Fortunes Radio.
Hey, thank you, Peter. It's always fun, exciting, and a pleasure and honor to be here. And we're collaborating here on conspiring together to try to make the world a better place for everybody, at least ones who listen to us. And that's our goal. I got a good story tonight. And before I get into my main story, I'm going to share a short story of something happened just today, because it's important to me, and I think it has an important message. I had a major disappointment today. In fact, I had a major disappointment yesterday. In fact, I was really feeling down and depressed, because I felt like I had failed in something that I feel is really, really important. I have a friend, I know through church. He's 75, and he's scheduled for open heart surgery tomorrow morning. And I don't personally think it's a good idea. I think it's really misguided, and he could die from it. I don't believe it's necessary for a lot of reasons. I don't believe it actually solves any real problem. I think the whole thing is really misguided. Just like statin drugs is really misguided, and stents and all that. But anyway, I met with him for an hour and a half in the hospital a couple of days ago, and I thought I got through to him, and he was talking about making his escape from the hospital and not going through. But, for whatever reasons, pressure from his family or whatever, he decided to go through with it. So I talked to him last night. And he had made his mind up. And I was really so disappointed because, for me, it's sort of like a life and death situation. I mean, a certain amount of people die from this, and I don't think it's going to help anyway. So today I thought I'll give it one last try. So I called him up. I didn't know if he would even talk to me. And I started off saying, I got a story for you. And I told him about a friend of mine that went through a similar situation and how I handled it and helped them avoid even going to the hospital. And I talked for about half an hour. He's a pretty good listener. And then at the end I said, Thank you for listening. I don't know if I'm irritating you or you really appreciate this. Do you understand? And does it make sense? Yeah, well, it makes sense, but my brain's sort of foggy. I just can't make any decisions. You might be right. I may regret this, but I'm going to go through with it. And I said, okay, I'm not here to pressure you. I'm just trying to educate you. And I was so disappointed. I mean, I really, really tried. I'm trying to save this guy's life. That's how I see it. But then, I thought, even with your best effort, and I thought I did a really, really convincing presentation that I could convince anybody because I have the facts. I think that the evidence is indisputable. But nevertheless, I think he had just too much emotional momentum going towards this. And, you say things like, well, it's already scheduled. I'm already here in the hospital. I said, well, so what? You can change your mind. So I realized even what many people would consider to be the best teacher in the world, the best salesman, if you want to use that word, Jesus himself 2,000 years ago, how successful was he in convincing everybody that he was the Messiah? I mean, he had some success for a while. He had huge crowds, and and he walked on water, fed thousands of people with almost nothing. And in the end, what happened? They turned against him and crucified him. So even if you have a great message, and even if you speak the truth, and even if you say it well, not everyone's going to believe, So you just got to keep on going, doing what you believe, speaking the truth, doing the best you can, and you're going to strike out, no matter how good you are sometimes. But if you stay in the game, you'll hit some home runs. And so I hit a lot of home runs, but hey, I strike out too because, some people, they're just not open. But anyway, so all that is sort of an introduction to what I'm going to be sharing tonight about what I now refer to as the ABL, or having a better life. And the broader context of this, from my perspective and my philosophy, is that I think by design, by God's design, we are all meant to be heroes. Not just to make it through life and survive, but to make a difference, to be a hero for someone. To be a hero, you got to take a risk. In this kind of business, your risk is maybe feeling rejected or the risk of failure. But you got to take some kind of risk if you want to make a big difference. If someone's caught in a burning car or a burning building, and you go in to save them, you're taking a risk. I did that once when I was a teenager. I just finished getting certified to be a lifeguard, and soon after that, I had an opportunity to be put to the test, and someone was drowning in the river, the Sandy River in Troutdale, Oregon. And with some reservation, but enough confidence, I swam out there and took that risk because, it's common that when you're trying to rescue someone, if you're not careful, they could, grab you in a way and you both drown. So I was taking a risk, but I was ready for what she did, and I was able to maneuver her efforts to grab me in an unsafe way. I could have killed us both, and I was able to save her life. That was my first taste of sort of being a hero and really making a difference. And, took a risk. And I've done a number of things since then. And so my passion in life is to make as much difference as possible. So the reason, and that's why I'm doing the show. And so I'm sort of going through a series of sharing formulas based on 3 words. Each one. I did a AAA formula, which stood for attention and appreciation and affirmation. I did a formula, a triple letter formula, the 3 H's of happy and healthy and being a hero. Last week I did one of the 3 H's. The W's, which had to do with having a clear why and winning And what was the third one? I forgot. That's funny. I can only remember my own formula. But anyway, probably too long of an introduction here. Oh, okay, third W was wisdom. Yeah, that's actually the second one. Okay, but anyway, tonight is going to be the 3 E's. And I guarantee you one of the E's is not easy. Life is not easy. I remember in 1984, I read a book that really changed my life. It really opened my eyes. It was very enlightening. And it was called The Road Less Traveled. Great book. I didn't like the last part of the book, but the first 2/3 of the book was just like a revelation to me. And you know what the first sentence in the book was? I'm a little off track here, but it just came to mind. The first sentence was, life is difficult. Now, no big surprise, but, here's a famous author, Scott Peck, and the book was excellent. I'd recommend it. But life is difficult. It's not easy. We want easy. We try to create easy as much as we can, but that's not part of the formula to have a better life. So here's my idea, my philosophy of the 3 E's that can make a bigger difference for you and for your world and the people you're trying to impact. Oh, man, I took too much time on my introduction. Oh, well. Hey, Peter, can we go for an hour? Okay, so the first E is energy. Nothing in the world happens without energy. In fact, nothing in the universe happens without energy. In fact, according to Einstein, everything is energy. E equals mc squared. Energy equals the mass times the speed of light squared. So they're actually interchangeable. But on a practical level, dealing with people and dealing with life, nothing moves without energy. I mean, think about your car. You buy the most expensive car in the world. Think about a Rolls Royce, and it's in perfect condition, and it has a full tank of gas. And how well is that going to run if there's no energy? I mean, you got to trigger the ignition. It has to create a spark at the right time to explode the gasoline, and through that fiery explosion, it moves the pistons. But nothing happens until that happens, and that's energy. Fire is energy. Electricity is energy. Emotions are energy. So in terms of life and business, the number one thing that makes a difference, especially if you want to be a hero and make an impact, you've got to harness energy. You have to harness it intelligently, especially the energy we call emotion. Believe it or not, nobody does anything based on logic. We think we do, but there's always many directions you could go using different lines of logic, but the one that always wins is the one that has the strongest emotion behind it. I mean, some guy might believe that sex outside of marriage is wrong and bad and is just wrong, but he still gets sucked into it anyway. He's seduced by the dark side of the force because at the moment the emotion was that was where the strongest emotion was, going that direction. Or eating junk food, better. You're already 50 pounds overweight, better. You're trying to stop cigarettes or whatever, and you keep doing it anyway. Why? Because the emotion supporting that behavior is stronger than the emotion saying, well, I'd be crazy to keep smoking, or I'd be crazy to keep eating, potato chips and French fries and desserts and all this. And we do it anyway because the emotion that is the strongest always wins. There's no power in willpower. Well, maybe for a very short time because you have enough emotion on it, but it fizzles out. So if you're in the business of trying to influence people, there's 2 main points here. First of all, you got to realize it isn't about logic or the right information. I mean, everyone wants to be rich and thin. So what? That's just an idea. It's information. It's a possibility. But without the right energy, guess what? Nothing's going to happen. And so, first of all, you have to have the internal energy. And secondly, you have to express that energy. It's like Napoleon Hill talks about in his great book, the classic book, Think and Grow Rich. Now, there's more to the formula than just think and grow rich, but thinking is where you start. And he has a chapter in there about desire. Les Brown talks about hunger, being hungry. So you have to have that internal emotion. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. If you're trying to build a business and people aren't doing anything, or not much, or hardly ever, why? Well, there's only one reason. There's no energy there. There's not enough energy or emotions with them for them to do this versus something else. So they're doing something else. So desire by itself isn't enough to get you there. But that's the spark. You still have to, using the car analogy, the spark explodes the gasoline, creates energy, but you still have to put it in drive. And a few other things, manage the steering wheel position and so forth. So first of all, energy has to be there. And if you don't have energy, you got to create it. You can't go onto Amazon.com and buy a package of energy. But you already have plenty of energy. You just have to unleash it. So if you don't feel much energy, whether it's physically or emotionally, it's available. It's just buried. You got to unleash it. And to some extent, you have to create it. And one of the creative forces for creating energy is looking toward the future with faith. I call it positive expectation. The King Solomon said, without a vision, people perish. So a view of the future that's combined with faith or confidence or belief, that's energetic, energizing. It's empowering as well, which we're going to get to here. But you got to have that energy first. You got to create it. And sometimes, energy is also contagious, both ways. If you're around people who are depressed or angry or have anxiety, you can catch that. It spreads, like even instantly. But energy doesn't stop at your skin. Your energy, you walk in a room and everybody feels your energy to some extent, especially if it's high energy. High energy anger or high energy happiness or joy. So we can also be around people and sort of get some of their energy, both physically as well as emotionally, because we are affected by the people we're around. Secondly, for energy to have its greatest impact, you've got to express it. Like if you feel strongly about a friend, or say your spouse, and so the emotion's there, and or it could be your child, and you love this person, so the energy, the emotion's there. But if you don't say it, it doesn't have the full impact. Now, if you don't say it, it still has some impact, because energy is energy. But when energy is carried on the vehicle of words, properly spoken, right tone of voice, it magnifies the impact. So it's not enough to believe in your son or daughter or somebody. It's better to say it. I really believe in you. I like you. I believe in you. So expressing your energy verbally as well as in action, helping people, calling someone up, say, hey, how can I help you today? Not just, hey, what's up? How can I support you? How can I help you? And actually do something. You can't do anything without energy. It takes a little bit of work, but, it's worthwhile. Okay, that's enough for the first E of the 3 E's, energy and being energized and energizing others. The second E really sort of is a subset of the first one, but I want to distinguish it in a distinctive way because this is real important too. energy is like the umbrella concept here, but the second E is being empowered or empowerment. If you have a business or you have a project or you have a cause or you have a mission, just having a great idea or vision or mission doesn't mean anything unless you have power. And sometimes power is harnessed through having enough money to do what you need to do. But most often, the most important power is emotional power. And again, this sort of overlaps with what I just said. If you want to impact people, if you want to move people, that's probably the best word I want to use here. If you want to move people, you've got to empower them, not just with your emotions, but with concepts of, like I was already saying, I believe in you. I know you can do this. Yeah, maybe you don't have what it takes right now, but with my training or our upline's training and with these great products and with this company, there's no way you can't be successful. It's impossible to fail. Working with us, if you're coachable, success is inevitable. So saying those kind of things empowers people. Even just being with somebody and spending time with them, even if you're doing something non-business related, you're having a meal together, you go swimming together, bowling or whatever, you go to a game together. Your presence, which gives people attention, which affirms their value, is empowering, especially with your children. It's also true of really anybody. So empowerment is a critical dynamic. If you want to have a better life, think of energy and how you can be full of energy, how you can create energy, how you energize others, and secondly, how do you empower people? In network marketing, the 3 E's that you have to do in network marketing is, actually corresponds pretty much to what I'm saying here, is first of all, part of that energy, you have to explore the possibility with them, with the prospect. Explore the possibility, and you have to enroll them on multiple levels, enroll them into you as like you're a trustworthy person and a guide and a coach and teacher, enroll them in the company, enroll them in the possibility they can be successful. So you have to explore the possibility first, then enroll them, and then the hardest part or the most challenging part is you got to empower them. Even though they're enrolled, unless they're empowered, because most people are not, they don't have enough of the self-initiative and confidence and faith to do it on their own. That's why we have 99% failure rate. Nothing's wrong with the system. What's missing is the person isn't empowered, and they need to be empowered by us, and we need to learn how to do that rather than say, let's see how they do. Yeah, we'll check up on them once a month. Maybe you be talking to them once or twice a day. Stay connected and empowering. Ready for the 3rd E. So we talked about energy, empowerment, and this one's really important too. And I actually talked about this one last week a bit. Because just last week I came up with a 4th letter on my ABL acronym, a better life. Everyone already wants a better life. That's ABL. But I thought, can I make a word out of that? And I thought, if I put E on there, that's able. Everyone wants to be able, right? You want to be able to do this, able to do that. You don't want to be disabled, but you want to be able. So I thought a long time, what could E stand for? I went through the dictionary, page after page, looking for a good E that would fit for what I wanted, and I found it. I was so excited. This is perfect. And so this is the E that I added to the ABL to make it able, and that word is epic. Now, epic is somewhat used loosely, like the word awesome is often used sort of casually and loosely. I think only certain things deserve that adjective, like God and the Grand Canyon and the ocean and mountains. not everything is awesome. But epic, in fact, let me just read to you right now what it says in the American Heritage Dictionary. It's a good little dictionary I'm holding in my hand right now. It says epic, a long narrative poem celebrating the feats of a traditional hero. So it doesn't have to be a poem, but in the traditional sense, it's a long story or poem celebrating the achievements, the accomplishments of a hero. And it says when you use it as an adjective, it could mean like grand, like, well, that's a grand idea, that's an epic idea. Or you're embarking on a project, this is epic. It also can mean of great size or duration. So something that's huge and can last a long time, ideally lasting beyond your lifetime, which is what we call legacy. So for me, an epic is, in this context tonight, an epic is your story in which you use energy and you're empowered so as to do great things to make a difference in the lives of other people, and ideally in a way that the effects go on beyond your lifetime. So you leave a legacy. Now, just a few months ago, I happened to find this verse in Psalms. I was so excited because it says exactly what I'm saying. David is asking God to establish the work of my hands. And I looked it up. Established means to get permanence to. I said, that's legacy. Do something and it's permanent. Like if you write a best-selling book and it goes on after your death, that's leaving a legacy. Investing time and helping your children to become mature and responsible adults, that's a legacy that goes beyond you. So there's different ways to create a legacy. But tonight, the key word here that goes along with that is epic. So we want to have epic life. Well, I guess most people don't because they don't even think about it. Usually you don't get what you don't at least think about. And even if you think about it, that doesn't give it to you. You can think and not grow rich because there's a few other steps to the formula besides thinking. But it does start with thinking. But if you don't even think about it, then there's zero possibility. And so I'm recommending, I'm urging you to think now in terms of how can you create an epic for yourself? Because we're already creating our own story. And some people, it's not going so well. And it looks like it's not going to be a happy ending. And you had more than your share of injustice and betrayals and disappointments and setbacks and failures. It's like the failure I was talking about this morning. I was really, I talked about a few minutes ago about this morning and last night. You can't have, 100% home runs, But we can overall have an epic life if we think about that, we commit to it, and we get help, whether it's from God or others or coaches. Start getting mentoring. How can I create an epic life where I make a big difference, something of great size and duration, which is one of the definitions. A narrative, almost like a poem that ends up being beautiful. There's a few disasters along the way and setbacks. And remember, sometimes the greatest setback can be a setup for a comeback. And that's what heroes do. They have setbacks in all the great movies, whether it's Star Wars or Matrix or Braveheart. There's setbacks and disappointments and betrayals. But that's what makes the movie interesting. That's what makes life interesting because it gives you an opportunity for you to be powerful and to be an overcomer. You see, most people are overcome by stuff. But, the Bible talks about being an overcomer. And so that's part of how life works. Things are difficult. Like Scott Peck said in his book, The Road Less Traveled, life is difficult. Well, that's sort of a good thing. It gives us a reason, an opening to be epic, to be energetic, and to be powerful and empowering, and to create an epic ourselves. That story of your life that ends up being amazing because you believed and you did whatever it took, even with major setbacks. And some people say, yeah, well, I could never do that. I'm a nobody. Well, everyone starts off as a nobody, but you can go from a zero to a hero. You can go from being a dud to a stud, from a nobody to somebody. And it all starts in your mind, and then being energized with your emotions and getting mentoring and connecting with the right people. You know, like if this is something that resonates with you, maybe I'm the right person for you to get connected with, where I can help guide you and help you in your journey to create that epic story. You know, this adventure of life rather than just a series of disasters and disappointments. We all have our share of that. Some people have more than their fair share of disappointments and disasters. But out of those ashes and out of those lessons, we can create not just a great story, but a great impact. And even the story itself, it includes the pain and disappointments, can be empowering and inspiring. You know, if you hear a story of someone's wonderful life and they never had any problems, how inspiring is that? No, the inspiration and empowerment comes when someone is challenged and looks like there's no way out, and they still figure it out, and they still overcome, even with setbacks and failures. And so I'm telling you, that can be you. You can be the hero in your own story, a hero for other people in multiple ways, including in your business, including in your relationships, and with your children and with your grandchildren. But sad to say, most people don't even think about this. You know, sit around thinking, how can I create a legacy? How can I be epic? You know, create this narrative, a story where in some ways I'm a hero. Instead, people are thinking, maybe I'll have another beer. Or I wonder what TV show I'm going to watch tonight. Or I wonder, you know, if I could get a better job. I wonder if, so stuff like that. And some of that stuff has its place. But in the bigger picture, we want to think big. We want to think long term, not about the short-term pleasure, seduced by the dark side of pleasure, of settling for short-term pleasure, whether it's in junk food or drugs or fame or success, whatever it is, and miss out on the main thing. I like what Stephen Covey said. He said the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. And for me, that's creating value, making a difference. And to make a big difference, you've got to be a hero, even if you feel like a zero. It's not hopeless. Anybody can go from being a nobody to a somebody. And you probably can't do it by yourself. You need somebody to work with. So if you like what you're hearing from me and you think I'm the kind of person that might be able to help you and we could work together, you know, I still have some room on my plate to take on some work with some people and help you to optimize my E.E.E formula of energy and empowerment and creating an epic in your life and even a legacy. So I think I'm out of time, but I did pretty good squeezing all that down to half an hour. So anyway, if you'd like to talk with me, explore that possibility of working with me at some level, and I'm not selling any kind of coaching program. You know, I don't charge, but I only work with people that are serious. You know, because if you're too casual, you become a casualty. So anyway, you can contact me. Probably the best way is through my phone number. You can text me or call me. And my number is 714-488-9074. That's 714-488-9074. 9074. Now, I know that's a California number, but I don't live in California. I'm 1,000 miles north of there in Vancouver, Washington, next to Portland, Oregon. So feel free to reach out and connect. We can explore the possibilities, see if we might be a match, particularly if you're looking for a really solid, sustainable company and business venture where you can help a lot of people and be a hero for a lot of people. Like I've done before. I mean, in another company, I had close to 1 million people in my downline, making up to $1 million a year. I made a lot of difference for a lot of people, and my lifetime goal is to make a difference for 100 million people. So maybe I can help you with whatever your vision is, and maybe enlarge your vision so you can not be a passive spectator, but to be in the game, be maybe even a quarterback. And, be a hero in your own story. So that's why I'm doing this, looking for people I can connect with and work with to energize, empower, and help you to create your ABL, a better life that's epic. Okay, I think I'm done. Peter, any comments?
I loved it. So, I sometimes just like to end it the way you left it because it was perfect. So for those people that want to work with Ray Gebauer, make sure you check him out. 714-488-9074. 714-488-9074. And you'll probably want to hear this many times. Share with your friends. Go to buildingfortressradio.com/Ray Gebauer. So, Ray, I super duper appreciate all the radio shows you've done. This one's super special as well. Thanks for being here on Building Fortunes Radio. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. God bless you all.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingles. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.